intelligence.
Joining us now on Skype is Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
You bet. Good morning.
Before we get to the merits of this, is it odd that a president would have separate intelligence briefings for Democrats and Republicans? Why would intelligence be a partisan issue?
Yeah, so it is odd, except that actually, so I was in the briefing yesterday. Steny Hoyer was invited. Mark Meadows had called him the night before and said, we're doing these briefings. And by the time we had been there to meet, he had not heard back from Steny Hoyer yet. That to me is a question for Steny Hoyer. They are being briefed this morning, but I have no idea why they didn't accept that until late. But I also think it's kind of a sideshow based on, a very important issue which we have in front of us.
Congressman, if the president was not briefed on this information, do you believe, based on the information you saw yesterday, that he should have been briefed?
So probably. Now, here's the problem, and there's obviously a lot I can't reveal, so it's kind of hard to talk around this, and without revealing classified information. But the bottom line is there were conflicting sources. The intelligence community was in the process of ensuring that this was actually true. They had taken measures to defend troops just in case. We had advised the British, for instance, of the same thing. But they did not have enough real evidence to basically put in front of the president options to respond to Russia. Because if, in fact, this isn't true, you don't want the president reacting against Russia. And so should he have been advised? Probably at some point I would have. If I was briefing the president, or if I was president, I would want to be advised. But I also don't think it's a scandal because as of now, they don't have definitive proof of it. And actually, I think that this story is out there may make it a little harder to get that proof.
And what should the consequences be if this turns out to be true? I mean, is it really shocking that the Russians this is their mode of operation? I mean, isn't this pretty consistent?
Yeah, I think it is consistent. We know that the Russians have been involved in Afghanistan and trying to undermine the United States because the U.S. is the only country that's actually been invited to stay in Afghanistan. If you remember, the Russians got their backside handed to them there. And so I think there has to be, whether it's there's already targeted sanctions against the GRU, which is basically Russian special ops. There may have to be targeted sanctions against individuals in the GRU. We have a lot of Russian stuff sanctioned already. And if you remember, a year and a half ago, we actually killed 300 Russian soldiers on the battlefield, Russian mercenaries. So I think pushing back is not something we're afraid to do. There's just not a lot of strings left to pull. Exposing this may be very important once we have proof.
You wrote on Twitter a few days ago that Russia is not our partner. Do you believe that there's consensus on Capitol Hill about that?
I do. My concern is that both sides, honestly, have taken this issue and tried to make it partisan. The Russian issue. Russia's just an enemy, and Republicans and Democrats need to agree on that. When every story that comes out about Russia ends up being the president's corrupt, or see, you guys are throwing false accusations again, basically Russia becomes, the other party becomes the enemy and not the Russians. So yes, Russia is definitely not our friend.
But does it trouble you that the president never seems to condemn Russia or Putin?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I will say here's where the conflict is actually the president's policy against Russia has been pretty aggressive. If you look at Ukraine, again, the fact that 300 Russian soldiers were killed a year and a half ago, most people don't know that, by U.S. forces, and we could go down the line. But I don't understand why he can't condemn Putin, for instance, on Twitter, or why he only says nice things. It's a conflict I don't understand. It's the same thing with China, right? He's done nothing but say nice things about Xi, but yet he's very aggressive against China right now. So it's something I never fully get, but, it's Twitter. It's the days of Twitter.
Representative Kinzinger, always good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
See you guys.